Subscribe, please.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's your favorite Gimp with a Limp, and I am here with part 1 of Warfighter Pacific. I have been looking forward to trying this game out for a while now. I finally got to the table. I went over my overview video the other day, showing you guys a lot of the cool stuff that came with it. This is just going to be a basic playthrough, nothing fancy, just showing you the game itself. The next playthrough is going to be a little more fancy because we're going to get into some of the neat expansions, aka zombies, that I've been looking forward to. Have seen some of you guys posting on Facebook talking about your Warfighter games, how you're mixing and matching. Looks real cool. I might have to end up doing a playthrough like that. Maybe I'll take the modern guys and have them come back and fight zombie Nazis. Actually, yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. Might look into actually doing that, but anyway, this is going to be a playthrough just showing you the basics of the game, how it works, all that other good stuff. I've got it set up now. We're going to go over that. Before I do, I wanted to show you guys something neat. I printed these out. I actually found them on Thingiverse. I got a little 3D printer that I've showed you guys some stuff before. And these are called Warfighter trays, right? So the path up above the location card sometimes gets a little busy with enemy cards, and these allow you to stack the enemy cards like that. So they fit in a slot, and you can see it holds it real nicely, and it's got a little platform for it, so whoever's targeting, and I'm bumping shit around. Whoever's being targeted, you got a little platform. You can place that there to show, hey, okay, this is the number that they're targeting, and then you can take and throw in your EKA or suppressed markers into the little tray, and it keeps everything nice and neat and organized. So I printed off a handful of those to use. Anyone who has a 3D printer, you might want to look into it. I found these things to actually be quite useful. I got a stack of them up above the board that I might use during this playthrough. We'll see if it gets busy. I'll take and bring them out. But since I'm filming, I'm probably not going to be able to have them stacked vertically because it would be harder for you guys to see it. All right, so let's get into the setup itself. You want to take and make sure you do your basics like shuffle your event deck, your location deck, your enemy deck. Make sure you decide whether you're fighting frontline or elite. And you're going to take and pick, also obviously shuffle your action deck. Make sure the location marker cards are in there. I've actually already drawn my cards. We'll get into those here in a sec. Are spread throughout this thing. And you can do a mulligan if, well, that was in the previous Warfighters. I'm assuming it's in this one. If you draw a starting hand for your player soldiers and they do not have a location card, you can do a mulligan, draw again, because you need to have a location card to really get the game kicked off. So do keep that in mind. Now you're going to pick a mission and an objective, and I showed this previously in the previous video, but we'll go over it again here very quickly. For this one, I'm doing shore patrol at the top right here. Well, this is just a little picture showing, and then you have your location, any entrance cost, because this does count as a location. There at the top right will be listed down. The hand-to-hand combat rating is listed here. And then resources. This is the key thing. The more resources you have, the more you can bring in soldiers, weapons, equipment, all that other good stuff. The time is how much, we'll point at the top of the board here in a sec, how much time, how many turns the game's going to last. Objective number is how far out the objective is going to be placed. You guys can see you start on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, bam. That's where the objective is going to go. And loadout, you might have a mission where you don't get to bring as much equipment. So the amount that your loadout usually is on your soldiers gets reduced by, X number. You have to make sure and keep that squared as well. Any special rules, and for us, we're going to have at the start of the first soldier turn, recon 1 location, pay 1 extra for all retain and support costs. Well, that sucks. We got to pay 1 more. Let's look real quick and see what recon 1 location means. Let's look on our little sheet here. I'm definitely glad they included this because there are a lot of special words you have to keep track of that I would not remember. They didn't do this. The notation will specify a type of card. Look through the deck, find the specified type of card, freely add it to one player soldier's hand, then shuffle the deck. Recon one location. Okay, I'm not really getting this because it says it'll specify the type of location, but it's not specifying a type of location. It just says recon one location. It doesn't say like jungle or anything else. So, okay, since I don't really get it, we're just going to play on. But someone put it down in the comments and let me know. It doesn't matter. We're still going to have locations and shit to play with. So, our objective, like I said previously, is going to be document search. You can see the top right entrance cost is 1, so it's very cheap to get in. Reinforce, this rain here means reinforce. During the reinforcement phase of the game, you're going to take and draw a card, and if the enemy card is within that point cost, so if it's a 0 to 1 enemy, then it gets placed as a reinforcement. If it's 2 or above, in this case, you wouldn't place it. So it could say if it does say Reen 0, that doesn't mean no reinforcements. It'll say none for reinforcements if there are none. If it says 0, there are enemy forces that have a 0 point cost. So it's because of the XP that you get. Some enemies don't provide XP. So if it has 0, you can draw a 0 point enemy. And then we have our special rules here. Hostiles down to the right. You're going to see this as we play through. The location cards will tell us, according to our point value, how many points in hostiles that we have to draw. And for us, it's going to be 3 points. The bad thing for us is to get down there and have a whole lot of 0s or 1s, and then you end up drawing a bunch of enemies for what would be a relatively low point cost. So something to keep in mind. Take and pop this back down. Put your little inactive marker on it to let you know that you have not got that yet. And let's look at this. If I remember right, the special rule in this, keep clear to the objective, means that we have to clear this thing out of enemies and keep it clear of enemies for a couple of turns. My bet is by the time, if my soldiers get down there, then they're going to take and, have cleared it out anyway. So we're going to take and show you guys real quick what I am bringing for my guys. I have Van Dyke here, and I'm not sure what the dog tag symbol up in the upper left means. I know some of the cards have the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor for Marines, and then this has dog tags, and then my other guy over here has airborne jump wings. So I'm guessing this just means regular soldier. For our playthrough, we're going to pretend they're both Marines since we're in the Pacific. I was looking through. The guys that I picked out for this, I'm going balls to the wall with just 2-player soldiers tweaked out as best I can. Weapons, ammo, skills, and they're creeping through trying to take out all the bad guys. So low player count, low amount of actual troops on the board, but very high tweaked out good skills. 1 shot, 1 kill, Marine type hoorah shit. So that's my plan. We're going to see if it works out or not. Up in the top right, that's where your point cost is going to be for all the different soldiers. And you can see this one is 17. My other one is 15. And then after that, any points you have left, what did I have? 45 for this one. So any points that you have left, that's what you're going to put towards extra weapons, gear, camouflage, skills. Now, do remember that if you're playing a campaign, you cannot buy skills when you're starting off. Since this is just an individual mission, we can buy skills. But if I was doing a campaign, I would not be able to buy skills for my starting troops. They would take and gain their skills as they leveled up. Health is obviously your health and your hand count. My light tipped down on me and almost took me out. Okay, we're up again. It's also your hand size. So this is how many cards Van Dyke can carry. 7, 5 for my other guy, David McCarson. Loadout, 12 for him. That's how much points of stuff he can carry. Okay, so weapons and equipment, he can have up to 12, and it's not being adjusted. His hand-to-hand rating doesn't get any bonus. Down here in the bottom left, he does have a cover rating. Most soldiers I've seen in the deck don't tend to have a decent cover rating. Both of my guys have a 2, so at least on the off chance that the enemy does roll a 1, that's going to help him out. This is their movement. So for this guy, he gets a 2, which means he can deduct 2 from the entrance cost of whatever location that he's moving into. Other guy's a 3, so they both move pretty well. This 2CX, that means he has experience basically, and he gets to draw 2 cards there at the start of his turn. Awesome. I don't have to spend an action to take and refill his hand because he'll slowly kind of get cards back to him as the game goes through. Now, the rest of this is skills that he's starting off with. He gets leadership, which increases the movement value of all soldiers. Limit 1 per mission. You can't stack this up, but that's great. So that increases his movement factor from a 2 to a 3, and it increases the other guys as well. Riflemen and marksmen are also both really good because they increase my chance of getting hits. Adds 1 to your rifle carbine attacks, adds 1 to your ranged attack rolls. Marksman's a bit better because it works with all weapons. This just works with the rifles and carbines, but that means that he's getting a base +2 on top of every attack he makes to his attack, not to his defeat cover, unfortunately, but he does have penetration on his weapon, so he gets a +1 to that. Anyway, I can upgun it, that's what that parentheses means, by spending 1 XP, and I would get a extra bonus to it of 2 instead of 1. So real good skills for him. Both of my guys have camouflage. I wanted to give them best chance possible, and this is a neat card here in the Warfighter Pacific. At the start of the hostile attack step, roll for each hostile targeting you. So every hostile that targets either one of my guys is going to have to do this. On the off chance they roll an 8 or higher, the hostile does not move or attack during the hostile turn. So that gives me roughly a 30% chance. Someone can tell me it's 8, 9, or 10 out of 10. So just under 30 maybe, or yeah, right about 30% chance that every enemy is not going to attack. That is phenomenal. Excellent point usage. First aid kit, and we'll touch on the other guy here in just a sec. One other thing. Actually, I'll throw it on screen so I don't have to pick the card up since I got ammo counters on them. I've got Van Dyke using an M1903 scoped rifle. My plan is for him to kind of be hanging back, shooting from a distance, covering David as David's moving up with his M1 rifle. You can see the range of this rifle goes up to 2. So if he's here, if Van Dyke's here, he can 1, 2 shoot off into this location here. So he can be in 3 and hit the objective. And that's his best chance to hit is actually from farther away. So it behooves him to be farther out. The only problem is the weapon that he's using is a bolt weapon, which, crap, I gotta remember. I do believe bolt means that it takes an extra action to fire again or something. Yeah, a bolt action weapon can attack once per turn as normal. Every additional attack each turn requires a discard. That's what it is. He has to discard a card to fire again. Player soldiers can discard action cards to pay these costs for non-player soldiers. Now, the cool part is since he gets that 2 cards each round, basically it's covering that cost for that rifle. I mean, it's a big drawback, but it's one we can handle. And so you see his range is 2. He's got the bolt. Reload is 2, which means on a roll of a 1 or 2 on the D10, he does empty the magazine. He's going to have to take and reload, or his weapon will be empty. The thing doesn't have a magazine, rather. I know someone would laugh at me down in the comments for saying that dumb shit. The hit number listed right down there on the card, 9, 8, 7. So obviously hitting better farther out. And penetration of 1, which will help to defeat the cover rolls. David over here. He has health 5 loadout, 8 hand-to-hand +1, so he's a little bit better getting close in. And he has the agile skill as well as the rifleman skill. All right, so his attacks are going to be improved just a little bit as well. Plus, he adds 1 to his movement value. And he's getting the movement value from the leadership from Van Dyke, which means his movement goes from a 3 to a 5. That's freaking outstanding. So movement is not going to be that much of a problem for my guys. Remember, you have to discard cards from your hand to take and move into these locations, whatever their entrance cost is, unless your movement value covers it. Now, some enemies will increase the movement cost into these locations as part of their special abilities. So he does have that. Their movement is so high, I'm not worried too much about discarding action cards to get through, which means I can use my action cards for things like second shots with the scoped rifle and their innate abilities to help with the fact that I've only got 2 guys pushing through. You see, he's got 2 hardy, but it's cold. We're in the jungle. I don't anticipate the hardy coming into effect. The hardy has to do with, there's something new with, I think the instruction booklet said it started in the Russian expansion. It's called Environ, or the environment, and it can hurt your guys. You have to roll, you have to meet or beat it, and if you don't, then they take either a suppression or a wound. Hardy allows you to take and ignore that. So if he failed a cold hardy roll, he could discard a hardy counter and take and, ignore it. Unfortunately, again, we're in a warm, wet environment, so being hardy to cold isn't going to do him a hell of a lot of good where we're going to be. He is using an M1 rifle with a bayonet. You can see on I'll put it up here, the M1 rifle, it only has a range of 0 to 1, so it can't reach out quite as far, but it still does have penetration. Does pretty well. It does better closer than farther away, unlike the scoped rifle. And it's semi, which means it's not having to, it can shoot the same as the bolt without having to take in, discard a card, is the basic way to look at it. He also has a bayonet on his weapon, so he can use that when he gets in close, and he has camouflage as well. So that covers both of my guys. I got them spread out down here at the bottom. I'll probably pan the camera up and focus on this when we get into it instead of worrying about keeping it down here. Make sure you take your suppression and killed markers, put them in a little container just so you'll have access to them, and then you'll need 1 container to take and have the assigned numbers. I've got 1 here for Van Dyke, 2 for David, and when an enemy card is drawn, you're going to take and randomly draw one of these counters, and you'll place it on the enemy card, and that's going to show who they're targeting. So it gives you that random targeting. There's going to be 4 of these counters per number per individual, and you can have up to, I think it's 8 soldiers and players and all that good stuff. Yeah, I think it goes up to 8. So you could have a whole lot of counters in here depending on what's going on. Unfortunately with me, again, I've only got 2, so they're going to get targeted a hell of a lot. All right, I think that covers setup. Let me pan up. We'll take and get the first turn started, run through it real quick, and we'll probably pause the video at that point. All right, we're ready to get started here. We've got our mission set up. We've got our 2 guys. These are their markers. You can take, and if you don't want to use those markers, you can use little miniatures, little soldier figures, anything like that'll work, as long as you can tell who represents who. You don't have to use the counters if you want to have it a little more realistic. Set our dice over here. Now, one other thing we need to do before we get started is like I said, had drawn the hand of cards for my guys. 5 for David, 7 for Van Dyke, and I did get location markers, so we have to take and discard these, discard this card, and draw a card from the location deck, and then you add that to your hand. Back when Warfighter first started, they didn't have these little markers, and your location deck was actually just spread throughout your action deck, and it made it hard if you wanted to switch locations, because then you had to thumb through your whole action deck, pull out all the locations, and then put in new ones. So they came up with a good idea of these location markers because they're generic and you can use them for anything. Now we have to discard these, draw that, discard that, and draw that. All right, we got our locations in our hands. Give me 1 sec here. I'm going to look and figure out where I want to go first. Okay. This is one of the locations that I drew. It's called Steep Rise. Entrance cost is pretty high at a 5. That's not horribly brutal, but it's not great. Although David can take and enter it, no problem. Van Dyke's going to have to discard a couple of cards to get in there. Not the best, but he's the one that can take and draw extra cards fairly easily. So that's not going to be too bad of a deal. Reinforcement none, that's good. Problem is it's 2 actions to play, so it's going to clear out one of my guys. I don't remember if I pointed this out, but you do get 2 actions per player soldier. There are little tokens to show which is which. You can flick them over to the U side once you've taken and completed them. So it is going to clean out his actions for the turn to go ahead and play this card. You can't see it, but over to the right, I did show it in the overview, is the turn sequence. Like all DVG games, it's listed down very easy on the board. Once you understand the rules, you don't have to dig into it. Follow turn sequence, you're good to go. So first part is the soldier's turn. Then we go to environment, but there's no environment to worry about here. So we are going on to our actions, and we are going to play this one. Unfortunately, that is going to take and clear out Van Dyke of his actions for playing this, because we're playing our 2 actions. Now we are going to look. We are at 45 points, and you do adjust that as you go. So say you have a soldier get killed, you readjust your points as you go through. You can drop gear or pick up gear, whatever happens, you have to keep that in check as you're going along. Since we are, my Southern's coming out, since we are at 45, we have to draw 2 hostiles worth of points. So let's take and draw that now. Okay, sorry for the break there, but in the process of drawing the cards, or starting to draw the enemy cards, I realized I had not shuffled the deck, even though I was talking to you guys about shuffling it. I had not shuffled the enemy deck when I was taking and getting things repaired, and they were all still in order. And I was drawing, I was like, what the hell? Because I was drawing 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. I was like, what the hell? 1. And then started going into the 2s. I was like, oh, okay, this is bad. So I went ahead and pulled them off, shuffled them up, and got us back going. So let me take and place this down. I did draw flankers, now an actual random card. So we will take and place those guys down. And just make sure I don't forget this. I'm looking away. And he's targeting 1. Another cool little thing, I've shown it in some of my other videos, but this is a 3D printed bowl I printed out to keep my counters in hexagon shape in honor of the wargaming. So definitely something to check out if you are into 3D printing. Okay, they place in rearmost, which they are in the rearmost location. Soldiers cannot leave this location, so these guys have to die before they can leave. Now, say they weren't all dead, say they were suppressed, then you would be able to leave because they're no longer in effect at that point. You don't necessarily have to kill them to take and get going on that. Now, it's targeting 1. I think we're just going to play it basic for this first one. We're going to have David take a couple of shots with his M1, see if we can put some hurt on him. Grab my dice here. We'll go ahead and flip over his first action token. Make sure you guys can see that. All right, he's trying to take out the flankers that are starting against us instead of the 8,000 zeros that I originally drew. Oh wait, gotta grab my D6. Their cover roll is a 1, so cover is not going to matter. We're automatically going to beat it, especially since we have penetration of 1 on this weapon anyway. So we just have to, they are at range 1. We need to hit a 7 or better because we do have a +1 from our equipment. So hopefully we will draw right for this. All right, come on. 7 or better. 7. Okay, boom. We obviously beat their cover. First shot, EKIA, enemy killed in action. That is a good deal. We'll burn our second action doing the same thing. Going to fire one more time, and I'm going ahead and just roll on the D6 just because I want to stay in habit with it and not forget to do so. Oh, miss. But we beat the cover, obviously, so that counts as a suppression. Now, I got to say one thing, and this is just a quirk for me. I do like the Modern Warfare version where it had the targets over each individual one. I thought that was neat. I get why they did put it as just one target number instead of them spread all throughout the card just for ease of play. But That's just a personal preference for me. All right, but that's not too bad. That's a good start for us. We got the first location up, but we had to burn all of one guy's actions just to do that. And our second guy had to take both his actions to kill and suppress the flankers that popped up on us. Those damn Japs were waiting on us. Since there is a lot of entrance cost here, I think I've got enough time to take a little bit because I don't have to worry about reinforcements. So if I wanted to, I could kill a turn just killing off these flankers and then start moving over, because the Hardy worries me, the Environ, because once I hit here, I have to start rolling, and I have to roll a 4 up or start taking suppressions and damage and stuff like that, which will reduce my hand size, reduce my action count. And with only 4 actions a turn, I have to be Johnny on the spot. Damn, maybe I can't burn turns. I really am going to have to scoot through. I'm going to have to hope the action cards take and push this through for me. All right, but let's take a look. We are good on our turn sequence. All right, I was just taking a look on the turn sequence. It's been a little bit since I played Warfighter. I want to make sure I'm good. Yep, we're good. We would pay any retain cost at this point. We don't have any retain cost. So our first turn is done. We go to the hostile phase, reinforcement draw. We've got none. So we're good there. We're going to take and do any attacks. None. No enemies to close in. So nothing to worry about there. Remove a suppress counter from the enemy cards. We'll go ahead and pull that one off. So that removal is done after they would have after they would have acted. So nothing going on for them. One of them is dead. We'll take and finish off the next one on the next turn, and we will advance the turn counter. Let me pan the camera up just a little bit. Right up here, down 1 turn. And there we go. Just like that, we have finished the first turn of Warfighter Pacific. I'm excited. I know you guys are excited as well. We'll burn through these next few locations fairly quickly. And then stay tuned for the zombies, because the zombies are coming, babies. All right. Y'all take care. I'll catch you in the next one.